Hello everyone. So yesterday FTC uh just came out with the Ultimate Goal Game Manual Part 2, and also there's been some new changes to this year's judging and an update on first the Game Manual Part 1. So in this video I'm going to go o over quickly an analysis of the new changes to this year's judging and also this year's game manual. We are going to start by going over the updates in game manual part 1 and the judging stuff. So with the updated version of game manual part 1, which everyone should definitely go read, and the new things are all in section 9, so everything is judging. So the biggest change is there is a new thing called the engineering portfolio. So the uh, manual says that you still should do the engineering notebook with all of its sections like design, coding, outreach, and stuff. However, this year you must also have an engineering portfolio, which must be under 15 pages. And the engineering portfolio should be a concise summary of the engineering notebook, and it's basically what you will be presenting to the judges. It says that in Game Manual Part 1 that the engineering notebook is optional, but since the engineering portfolio is supposed to be based off of the engineering notebook, and also the fact that judges might ask for your engineering notebook, you should still have the engineering notebook ready. One good thing is on pages 43 to 44 of Game Manual Part 1, first gives teams a list of requirements for the engineering portfolio by award, so you know what to do. And first also says that there will be a self-assessment sheet for the engineering portfolio, which will be coming out soon. So definitely check that out to make sure your engineering portfolio is good. And so now on to judging. So in the past, the judging process was mostly based on event. So like to start off, the qualifiers was probably 10 minutes. And then like later on in state and world, it would increase to 15, sometimes 20 minutes. However, this year on the game manual, it says that the judging process will only be 10 minutes with 5-minute maximum for presentation. And for remote events, it's similar this year. Everything will be done online and stuff. And also this year, we'll still have the possibility of additional interviews if the judges like your team. And the guidelines for the Compass and Promotion Award haven't changed. Also, another interesting thing is that if you go to the archived game manuals for like to look at the past challenges, uh, if you click on the Skystone challenge game manual part 1, you would actually get redirected to the Ultimate Goal game manual part 1. And also, if you go to the Rover Ruckus game manual part 1, the judging section is missing, and it says it'll come out sometime in 2018. So that's so it's not updated, so you can't get any information on the judging criteria for the past 2 years. And so that's quite interesting, and it's a bit weird. Anyways, other than the change in the award order, which I mentioned in video 1 on Game Manual Part 1, there's also the change to the Think Award because they're looking at the engineering portfolio this year instead of the engineering notebook, and the Think Award is basically used to be the engineering notebook award, but this year it's just the engineering portfolio award. So, all right, now let's talk about this year's challenge. So, if you haven't watched the game animation for Ultimate Goal, you should go and watch it because I'm mostly going to go over the differences, and after that, I'm going to go over a breakdown of what I think is should be the design for this year. And I'm pretty much assuming that you already watched the game animation at the very least. If not, uh, have read the game manual part two, because the game animation does a much better job of explaining game manual part two than I could. So I'm gonna assume you have already watched that video, and so I'm going to talk about the game manual part two and the best design. So the first difference that the remote events game manual shows uh, is that it only has half the field, so you only need half the field to run the robot. So that's pretty interesting because last year's game, for example, the robot required to travel all the way across the field to get like new stones from the human player last year's Skystone challenge. But this year, the robot will only need to play with only half the field for most of the time, and so that's really interesting. And also, the most important part everybody is wondering about is the remote event scoring system. So, Game Manual Part 2 remote events only has one paragraph on this topic about how the scoring system will work, and it doesn't really specify very much about it. So basically, one person from the team who is not part of the drive team can be a scorer who will watch the game and keep the match score. And they'll save it. They'll do it with a cloud-based software system so that they can save it to online and submit it. Um, but there isn't any requirement for any type of verification, either video or like live stream or anything. And so, yeah, it's so teams can cheat, but like since we're first teams, we shouldn't. And I went into a little more detail about uh, how it kind of works in my video for Game Manual Part 1. And you can also watch Ken Johnson's video on remote events to know more. And so, on to other differences. So there aren't really many other differences for the remote events game manual, other than like the obvious differences. Like it doesn't have anything like real events has. Like you don't need to wear your driver badges, or like you don't need. There's nothing about blocking other robots or disabling them or getting disqualified because of that. And there's nothing about referees and stuff. But basically, everything else that can be the same is the same. So there's no like big changes. And so um, my design for the robot, what I think should be the best is the robot should have one arm for grabbing the wobble goal, and the arm should be able to go over the field wall so that you can score the end game 20 points for putting the wobble goal in like the scoring zone. And then the arm and then the best option for scoring the rings would be a flywheel system, because the flywheel system is very simple. It's just two spinning wheels, and it's very efficient and a consistent system, because it shoots the rings in the best way possible, like a disc, and it also shouldn't be hard to aim up and down and move left and right. So you also want a system to move your flywheel shooting mechanism up and down. And so the flywheel itself should use one motor, and then the arm for the wobble goal will also need to use one motor. So you should use two servos for the up and down mechanism for moving the flywheel system, because you only have 8 motors in total, and so I'm assuming 4 motors will be used on the drivetrain, and so you only have 4 motors left. So you need another 2 motors for the intake system. So you have to use one motor on the flywheel, one motor on the arm, and then the other two should be used on the intake. So to collect rings, I think you just should have like an intake system, probably to a kind of flywheels like system, and then you should also have like a conveyor belt, which will be the other motors. So one will be the intake flywheel thing, and the other motor will be the conveyor belt to bring the ring up uh, to the flywheel system so that you can shoot it into the goal. And then you should also have a light sensor to detect when the ring is in the robot, so that you can have a servo to create a stopping mechanism to stop the ring right before you shoot it so that you can align the robot and then shoot it instead of just intaking it and shooting it. And then for the main strategy of this, so I think that autonomous, if possible, one robot should deliver the wobble goal into the correct zone, and the other should shoot the power shot targets, and then robots will park. Then for the driver period, the robots will take turns getting rings, then shooting down the power shot targets. And actually, one interesting design thing that I haven't mentioned is that the human player, when they deliver the rings back in, they deliver it through a vertical delivery system. So you're gonna have to wait a bit before the rings fall down flat, and you should probably optimize your intake a bit for that. And um, I'm not really sure a good way to take the rings in vertically. So I think the best way is to just wait for it to be flat. And in the end game, one team should be placing the wobble goal, and the other team should keep on shooting down the three power shot goal. And that's all for the updates and my analysis and insight of the remote and traditional game manuals. So definitely read over all four game manuals yourself and watch the game animation video to familiarize yourself with the game. And thanks for watching.